Hey, Facebook Live. Hey, Vinod, how's it going, brother? Let's give it a second before we just dive right in. I hope you're doing well on this beautiful Saturday morning. If you're across the world, hope you're having a good time on this beautiful Saturday night. And it serves you well. And hey, Jasmine, how's it going? Yes, you're in the same place you left me. Or I'm in the same place you left me. Decided to just do a quick live after my meditations when I'm in my higher frequencies, when I love to speak and talk and share my thoughts about life and in the world and how to get your successes. Of course, this is daily motivation, 365 days of consistency, doing the same things over and over again until they become habit. And today I want to talk about I hear a lot of people many times say, "Hey, I want to go back to normal. I want to go back to the normal. I want things to go back to normal." And I think you don't. I think that's just a human default to want to go back to the way things were, even though the way things were weren't really working. It reminds me of the story of Paul when Jesus was finally crucified, and I'm sorry, Peter, when he was a fisherman, and when they pinned Jesus to the cross, and he was stuck. He didn't know what to do afterwards. He said, "I'm following this guy all over all over Bethlehem and all over the east, and he dies. I don't know, and so I don't know what to do." And so the first thought he says, "I'm gonna go back fishing. I'm gonna go back to the way things were." But he didn't realize, getting to know Jesus, there was a shift that he couldn't go back to the way things were. He couldn't go back to just being a fisherman. He couldn't just go back to his boat and just do the same things he was doing previously, because it wouldn't have worked. He tried. He went fishing and he couldn't catch any fish. And it appalled him because he's like, I've been a great fisherman for years. For years, man. I mean, before I met Jesus, I was the number one fisherman out here. Why can't I catch a fish? Because he didn't realize you can't go back to your normal. When there's a shift in the universe, there's a shift in time. It's the evolution of man. And so you can't go back. Bob Proctor uses the analogy of a rubber band. He says once you stretch a rubber band, it can never go back to its original form. Even though it may look like it went back, but actually never went back to its original form. So whenever you stretch out, it'll never come back exactly to its original form. Hey, Terry, how's it going, brother? It always has to expand itself. So you really, truly don't want to go back to the real normal. And this is 3 reasons why. And I want to start with a quote from Eric, which was an awesome quote. I actually learned this from Bob Proctor. He got it from Eric Hoffman. He said, "In times of change, learners inherit the earth, while the learned find themselves beautifully equipped to deal with a world that no longer exists." Hey, Chess, how's it going, brother? Great axio. Funny, I was just talking about this with my brother. Interesting, right? Well, welcome aboard. Welcome aboard. Hey, Chess. Yes, I want to read that one more time because it's so powerful. He said, "In times of change, learners inherit the earth, while the learned find themselves beautifully equipped to deal with a world that no longer exists." And how many of us are going to be equipped, skilled, talented in a world that no longer exists? So 3 reasons why you don't want things to go back to normal, especially in your own life. You don't want things to go back to normal. Number 1 is because life is on a trajectory. The only thing consistent in this universe is change. The only thing that you can guarantee, you can bank on, you can put stock in is change. Evolution of man is part of the process of life. So we're always going to be evolving. We're always going to be moving forward. The reason why your desk gets bigger as you get older, because in the 3rd grade, in the 5th grade, you cannot be sitting in a desk that's in the 3rd grade. You're always expanding and growing. So the trajectory of Earth, of the life of this planet, is moving forward. So if you're stuck like a tree and you plant your roots in, the life will pass you by. I was talking to a friend. He was telling me about, preach, bro, behold to the new thing. Behold to the new thing, absolutely, because it's coming. It's coming. That's one thing you can always guarantee. The change is coming. I was talking to a older gentleman years ago, and we were having an argument about Uber. And he said, you know, I had a uncle. He was a taxi driver for many years in New York City, and, you know, he lost his job because of these Uber cars. You know, he can't get as much people. And I told him, shame on your uncle. He said, why? Why would you say shame on my uncle? Because how he did not see. He's out there every single day. How he did not see the changes coming. He should have been applying for Uber. At the same time, he should never got stuck working at a position for 30 years. Why would you do that? Why would you? Because the thing is, what happens is number two. The number one reason is you don't want to go back to your new normal because life is not going back to its normal. Life is not going back. So if you're going to go back, you're just going backwards. And life is going to pass you by. Number two is, or I'll say number three is, there is no such thing as a normal. Life is always evolving and changing and shifting and shaping itself. It's molding as it goes along. So there is no normal. It's like, imagine a baby, right? She was conscious inside the mama's womb. And finally got to a point where, you know, in the first stages of the first trimester, it kind of looks like larva, right? It's just very like curled up in this little shrimp state. Imagine it thought to itself, man, I like this little shrimp state. You know, I don't need no arms. I don't need no legs. This is cool right here. What is this arm coming out? What is these legs coming out? What's happening? It's called evolution. It's called the change. It's called the evolving of yourself. So there is no normal. Everything that you're is just a moment in time. Right now, it's just a snapshot in a moment in time. But that moment in time will change. And that picture will just be the past. And so if you are evolving yourself as the world is evolving, you're keeping up. But if you're not evolving as the world is evolving, you're stagnant behind. And you will be beautifully equipped for a world that no longer exists. And number three, the major reason why you don't want to go back to your new normal is you've been complaining about it. This change is for you. Unbeknownst to yourself, this change is for you. How many days, how many nights, how many hours, how many seconds have you spent time complaining about your normal? Oh, man, I hate this job. Oh, I hate this commute. Oh, I can't stand the people I work with. Oh, man, my spouse is getting on my nerves. Oh, they don't love me. You know, I can't even get my kids to act right. You know, I wish I had more time to spend with my family. Man, if I only had some time to write that book I've been talking about. Man, if I just had some time. You've been complaining for years about your normal. You've been complaining years about your normal. But now there's the opportunity to shift. You complain more. See, complaining begets more complaining. That's all it does. All complaining is an excuse to complain more. That's all complaining is. So you're complaining when things were normal. Now when things shift, you say, I'm complaining because I want to go back to the normal that I was complaining about. It's just like when the Israelites crossed the Red Sea. When they went to the other side, they were complaining to Moses. Moses, it's too hot. This is too far. This is too... We were better with Pharaoh. You were complaining with Pharaoh. You were complaining the whole time. Oh, my God, Lord, get me out of Egypt. Help me. Get me out of Egypt. Okay, I'm going to get you out of Egypt. I'm going to get you out of Egypt, cross the Red Sea, into the desert. Oh, Lord, get me out this desert. See, complaining only begets more complaining. You don't want to go back to normal. You don't want to go back to Pharaoh. Trust me. The reason you got out is because you don't want to go back. It's just you, us as people. It's hard to make the shift and changes because I just got used to this normal. Even though I don't like it, I'm used to it. At least it's a devil that I recognize. It's an evil that I can adjust to. But you have to get better at evolving yourself. Because as you evolve, you can say, okay, there's a desert out here, but there's water in these cactuses. There's animals out here in these deserts. Okay, let's learn how to hunt these animals in this desert. See, as you evolve through the change stops to be so bad. And then you get used to the change. And now you become the person learned. Again, the learned inherit the earth. The ones that can adjust, the ones that can shift, the ones that are fluid, the ones that can mold themselves with the changes, become the ones who take over. I had people complaining about, man, back in the day, it was people like us that ran the world and da-da-da, and all these nerds are taking over. Because you weren't willing to shift and change. You allowed somebody to take your spot because you weren't unable to shift and change. But the universe always is shifting and changing. So if you and I and we and us together can shift ourselves as this evolution goes, we realize there is no normal. It's always just a shift and change that we have to mold ourselves to. Like Bruce Lee said, be water, my friends. You put water into a bottle, it becomes the bottle. You put water into a teapot, it becomes the teapot. Water will always mold itself to its environment. And you do the same. As you mold yourself, as you see, okay, this is my trajectory, and I'm constantly changing myself, I don't worry about the world changing because I'm also always changing. Never get stagnant, please. Always evolve yourself. Always move forward to the next better thing, the next better thing, the next better thing. And as you keep moving forward to the next better thing, you're always ready for the next better thing. Once you are equipping yourself for the change never surprises you. Life is changing for Jazz and I too, but we're not surprised by it because we've been making changes and shifts in our own self, in our own universe. So when the change comes, we're ready for it. And nobody's truly ready, but it always seems that we're just in the right place at the right time. I remember, I'll leave you with this. When Jazz changed her business model a few years ago, she said a client came to her and said, oh, this is what you want to do? Okay, well, that's cool. And kind of snubbed her nose at it, right? That because she went from a storefront to her own place. And now it looks like she's a genius. Like, wow, why everybody's, I can't even go to my store. I can't do my salon because of the lockdown and everything like that. While her business is still flowing. So 2 years ago, she looked crazy. Now she looks like a genius. As you move forward, people are going to say, at the time you change, you're already making changes before you're forced to make changes, people will call you crazy. That's when you know it's a good sign. If people aren't calling you crazy, they should. Again, I'll leave you with this quote one more time. In times of change, the learners, the shifters, the molders, the changers will inherit the earth, while the learned, the stagnant, the stiff, the rigid will find themselves beautifully equipped to deal with a world that no longer exists. Chess, I appreciate it. Jazz, I appreciate it. Terry, I appreciate it. I am the journey. Yes, you are, sir. Yes, you are. Vinod, I appreciate it. We're all on a journey. That means we just always have to keep our backpacks on, always moving towards the next point. And that's life. That's the adventure. That's why everybody looks at my cover and see Destiny on Purpose. Why is there like 3 people in a boat? Because life is an adventure. To get what you want, you can't be stagnant. You have to move with the flow of the earth. And you have to move with the flow of the universe. Good stuff, brother. Great live. Hey, Terry, I appreciate it, man. Thank you. I'm feeling very comfortable. As you can see, I got my taco meat hanging out. But, it is what it is, man. I want you to enter into my world a little bit. So I'm comfortable with you guys. I appreciate all of you. Love is love. Namaste.